Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you've been putting in the work when nobody's watching. Over the past 5 years, I've watched, practiced, and listened to over 5,000 hours of self improvement. So I think that's over 200 days. That's a lot of time, man. In this video, I'm going to go on a deep dive into mindset, looks, finance, relationships, and spirituality. Let's start with the first one. So I've divided mindset into 8 different sections, and I think all of them are actually important. But we're going to start with the first one, which is emotionally controlled. A healthy mind is an emotionally controlled mind. This means you control your emotions basically. Because most bad decisions come from unprocessed emotion plus speed. Let's take anger for an example. Someone is really angry, that person sees the other person that made him angry. Person A starts punching person B gets injured. Person A regrets it after 2 minutes. The other person got a major injury, went to the hospital, something in his brain happened, and he became ill. He became permanently ill. So person A gets convicted, goes to jail, or gets a massive penalty, or whatever the consequence. All of this could have been avoided if person A waited 90 seconds. And so he was really angry, he waited 90 seconds, didn't react, didn't do anything, and just walked away, right? All of this punching someone, getting injured, getting potentially convicted could have been avoided just if you had walked away. So it's always a good option to walk away. Let's take another example. Happiness. Let's say person A is really happy. So that's unprocessed emotion, right? Extreme happiness. So what he does is he goes into the nearest designer store and he goes and splashes 5k on clothes, or he goes and splashes money on a new car, for example, just because he's made a lot of money. Unprocessed emotion plus speed. So they go and they spend all that money. 2 days later, they regret everything and they can't get their money back. So what do you do when you are under the influence of emotions? Number one, you do not make any permanent decisions that will affect your life. So what this means is at times where there are extreme emotions, for example, happiness, fear, sadness, guilt, depression, whatever, do not make any decisions, right? The reality is most intense emotions, they only last about 90 seconds. What the person with extreme happiness could have done is waited until that emotion fades away. So waited a day or two and then not make any decisions for a day or two. It's not that hard, guys, to not make any decisions for a day or two. And that emotion would get processed and then you would act with logic, not emotion. The second and the most important, in my opinion, is discipline, guys. Okay, we haven't done it yet. Okay. Anyways, what's discipline? Let's define discipline. So discipline is doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel and the circumstance. So this means you do what needs to be done, even if you're tired, even if you're depressed, even if you're happy, even if you're sad, even if you're not at home, even whatever the reason. Why is discipline important, you might say? Because you're not going to be motivated all the time, guys, are you? Some days you just feel off, some days you feel happy, some days you feel sad, some days it's never one emotion. And if you act upon these emotions, you'll never be able to do anything in life, right? Let's do a bad example of discipline, right? So person A usually goes to the gym, right? He goes, let's say 3 times a week. Now one day he doesn't feel well. Oh man, I'm not feeling it today, bro. I can't come. He convinces himself that he truly cannot go to the gym. So he says, oh man, if I actually go to the gym, my workout is not going to be as good. So what's the point of going to the gym? That's what he gives himself, right? A disciplined person, however, he goes to the gym regardless of how he feels. So if he said, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, he goes to the gym 3 times a week. If he says, I'm actually going to do the work on time, he does the work on time. And obviously, guys, everyone's going to have bad days where they don't fully complete the work or they don't do the work to the best of their ability, right? We're all humans. But what matters is you actually doing the work, even if it's not the best, right? You just doing the work is what matters, and that will be counted as discipline. So next, guys, and I think this is deep, guys. This is really deep. This is actually really important, guys. Self-congruence. And this means when your current self matches your ideal self. So this means acting up according to your values and morals. Why is this so important, you might say? Because When you act in a way that does not match your morals and your values, you actually disrespect yourself. And your self-respect decreases every time you commit an action that is not aligned with your values and morals. So an example would be, let's say person A does not drink, right? So person A gets invited to the pub or the club or whatever, and he gets peer pressured. So yeah, bro, let's drink, but just one shot. One shot is not gonna do anything. Person A knows that he does not drink, and he knows drinking is harmful, right? So he does it anyways, and he drinks. Can you imagine how he feels the next day, right? He's gonna feel guilt. He's gonna feel shame. He's going to feel like he disrespected himself. All these negative emotions could have been avoided if he just said no. Every time you say no to something you don't want to do, or you don't believe in, or it goes against your morals and values, you actually build self-respect. And that helps with decision making, guys, as well. If you're a good person, you're actually going to get tested a lot, guys, in life. People will test you, your family will test you, friends will test you. A good example of self-congruence would be, let's say you're in a workplace and you mess up big time. You do something so major that you believe that you could actually get fired from committing that thing. And your manager comes and asks you, did you do this? And you say, yes, I did it. Knowing that you can get fired from saying yes, but you say yes anyways. That is self-congruence. That is you living in alignment with your morals and your values. You believe that lying is wrong. You believe that you've promised yourself that you'll never lie again, and you actually stuck to your word. So even though you got fired, your self-respect increases. However, if you said no, knowing that you did the thing, your self-respect goes down. They're going to find out, you're going to get fired, and people are going to lose respect. So you got three negatives rather than just one, man. All you could have done is say yes. And maybe if you said yes, your manager would understand. And if you explain to your manager, I did this and this because of this, he's going to appreciate your honesty firstly, and he might actually give you another opportunity to stay in the company because you said the truth, right? Always say the truth. So number 4, facing discomfort. This means you confront discomfort, whether that be your fears, your weaknesses. Discomfort is the gateway to success, right? Discomfort will make you wealthy. Discomfort will make you strong. Discomfort will make you resilient. The more uncomfortable it is, the more you have to do it. The more you have to face it. I'll give you an example. When I was young, I used to hate maths, right? I still do. But I used to really hate maths because I was bad at it, right? I think you hating something is because you're bad at it, actually. Because once you get good at anything, you start to like it. I used to have a maths teacher, a private tutor. He used to teach you maths. And then I would physically run away from this guy. If I see him, I run away because I used to hate maths. I didn't want to spend a minute learning that subject. Later on, I couldn't get a teacher and I had to face maths exams. I had to do maths exams. I had to do maths at uni. I had to do a whole module about finance, and I used to hate it so much. If I had faced that discomfort earlier on, I would have not suffered, right? Another example of avoiding discomfort would be, let's say you're an antisocial person, right? You don't like people. You never speak to people. You say, oh, I don't need people. Obviously, you convince yourself that you don't need people, but in reality, you do actually. And you say, okay, I don't need people. I'm going to be a lone wolf. I'm going to live by myself. I don't need anyone, right? However, that is going to haunt you guys. There will come a time where you have to speak to people. However, you are going to be terrible at it because you've never practiced. You've never faced that discomfort. You never said hi to everyone. This could have been avoided if you had just faced discomfort. And I will give you a good example on how to actually break social barriers. So whenever you see anyone, if you're antisocial, if you see anyone, just say hi. If you're walking past someone, just make eye contact and just nod your head. That's all you have to do at the start, right? And once you become good at that, you can speak to random strangers. All you have to say is just hi. Or you can just start a conversation by saying, weather, how is the weather? You can use any icebreaker. You can just say, how's your day been? That's literally all you have to do, guys, to be social. Or you can say, having a good day so far. Or you can say, how's your day been? Or let's say you went to get shopping, right? All you have to do to the cashier, busy today. That's all you have to say. Busy today. 2 words. And that will start a conversation, right? And then this way you get better. And by the day, the more you practice, the better you'll get. So to conclude, always do the hard things, even if you don't feel like it. Always confront problems earlier on. Never delay any confrontation. Number 5, long-term oriented. So this means you think in years rather than days. So you think in decades rather than days. So rather than setting a plan or a goal for 2 months, you set it for 2 years. Why is long-term thinking important, you might say? Because most people want instant gratification and they cannot handle delayed gratification. So they cannot handle anything that's longer. They cannot see. So they basically can't see the long vision. They only see short term. They only see what's in front of them. They can't see years past. And that's why most successful people think long term. Have you ever heard a millionaire saying, "We need to make 10 million by Wednesday"? They always think long term. They always say, "We need to make 10 million in the next 10 years." Or have you ever seen visions? Have you seen countries' visions? They never say, okay, vision, let's say we're in 2026 now. They never say vision 2027. They usually say vision 2035 or 2036. I'm going to give an example of someone who's not long-term oriented, someone who thinks in the short term. He never thinks long-term. So Bob, let's say Bob. Let's take Bob as an example. I'm sorry if your name is Bob, bro. Bob wants to lose weight. So Bob goes on an extreme diet for 2 weeks. By the end of 2 weeks, he does lose that 5 kg. However, 1 week after the 2 weeks, he gains everything back again and he adds an extra 3 kg on top of his weight gain. He gains the 5 kg back up again and he adds an extra 3 kg. So that's 8 kg extra. However, long-term thinking Bob could have set a plan for 2 months rather than 2 weeks. He doesn't have to go on an extreme diet. Goes on a moderate diet for 2 months and he loses 5 kg. However, this time, rather than gaining it back and then gaining an extra 3 kg on top, he loses the 5 kg and slowly starts losing extra weight. I'll give you another bad example, and this is very common actually. Someone who's got money, right? Someone who's got, let's say, 10k, okay? So what do they do? They want to get rich quick. They go in coin market cap, they go onto all the cryptos, they see the trending cryptos. Bitcoin went up by 10% yesterday. I'm going to put all my money on Bitcoin. So what he does, he puts all his money in Bitcoin. Little did he know, Bitcoin crashes to 30k. However, someone who's long-term oriented would wait. He wouldn't make any decision. He first analyzes the market. So he goes, oh, okay, so Bitcoin went up by 10% in the past 10 days, for example. Or Bitcoin went up by 20% in the last months. Is this the right investment for me? Is this going to continue going up or is it going to crash? Is crypto a good option for me? Maybe I should put the money in a business, right? Maybe I could get a better return on the business, right? If I put that 10k in a business, or even if I spend the 10k learning a skill and that skill could 10x my income. So that's how a long-term oriented person would think. He thinks in years rather than days and he delays gratification. Another tip, guys, if you ever have any bad habits, let's say, for example, let's say you've got 5 bad habits. So you're addicted to smoking, you're addicted to drinking, you're addicted to corn, you're addicted to social media, and you're bad with managing your money. How would you improve on these 5? So I will start with the ones that affect my life the most. So I'll start with cutting off drinking, I'll start with cutting off corn, I'll start with cutting off smoking, and I would actually take 1 year to change these bad habits. The reason I'm saying you should do it in a year is because you're more likely to change these habits if you reduce the number of changes, right? Because the mind doesn't like too many changes. If you say to your brain, I want to change this, your brain is going to change this. However, it's going to give up after like a month or 2. And you don't want that to happen. You want to be consistent in that change. Dividing this change into time blocks is very beneficial because it gives you time to adapt to the new lifestyle, it gives you time to adjust, and it gives you time to practice. Number 6, detached from dependency. You're emotionally detached from people, objects, and outcomes. Let's start with people, for example. So there is this person, he's in a relationship, he's attached his partner calls him, hello, this is not going to work out. I'm leaving. See you in a bit. In a bit. Let's call him person A. Person A starts crashing out. He starts begging. He starts he starts disrespecting himself, and he does crazy things basically. However, being detached in this scenario would mean, okay, I'm in a relationship. Let's say I love my partner. My wife, for example. I love my wife. I'm not my wife. I'm not married yet. Let's say someone who's married. I love my wife. She said it's never gonna work out. Don't want to stay with you, whatever reason yet. Okay, cool. First, acknowledge it. Is this my fault? If it is my fault, then we can try to solve it. If it's not my fault, then you can't really do anything, guys. Like, what else can you do? You can't. So, walk away. That's it. That's all you have to do. Walk away. So the second one is detached from objects. So that could mean any object you own. A car could be. Let's take a car for an example. So you've worked really hard for 10 years, yeah, and you bought this Porsche GT3 RS, or you bought this Lamborghini, or you bought this Ferrari, or whatever car, and you're really attached to your car. You love your car so much. You take pictures of your car every day. You hug your car. You do everything for this car, yeah. You've sacrificed all your life for this car. One day you're driving and someone crashes into your car and he runs away. So you can't really get anything. You have no camera. You have no evidence that that person crashed. Or you crashed the car yourself and your insurance can't give you any money, right? What would you do in this scenario? What an attached person would do, he will start crashing out. He's going to be depressed for the next 5 years. He's always going to be thinking about this car. He's going to be thinking about all the years he sacrificed for that car. However, what a detached person would do is accept the outcome. My car crashed. I can't really do anything about it. If I can, I would, but I can't, right? So accepts reality and he moves on. That's it. All you have to do. Accept reality and move on. Number 3, detached from outcomes. An example would be you have an exam, let's say in a week time. You've studied, you did all your best, you did everything to the best of your ability, right? The exam comes, and then you see the paper, and nothing that you've studied for is in the exam. What an attached person would do is he will start panicking. Oh my God, I'm gonna fail, whatever. Da, 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 da. He's gonna start making a scene after he leaves the exams room, yeah. However, what a detached person would do is he would acknowledge the outcome. So he's gonna say, okay, I've tried my best, I studied, but none of the materials I studied came in the exam. So is that my fault? Maybe it is your fault. Maybe you studied the wrong materials, but it's too late now. You can't really do anything about it, right? So accept the outcome and move on. Or you work really hard in a business, you sacrifice years and years. The market crashes, for example, and your business fails. Can you do anything about it? No. What should you do? Just move on. Move into the next business. Maybe the next business is actually better for you. There's a rule that I like to go by, which is, can I live with this thing, whether it be people or object? Can I live with this thing? If the answer is no, you're cooked. You're so cooked, bro. Because you can never be attached to anything in life, man. Anything in this life is temporary, right? We're all gonna die. So never be attached to anything apart from your God, right? You have to be attached to God because that's someone who created you, and then God will never die, right? So when a person is attached, he tries to get validation from people. And what you're doing is you're handling people the ability to control you, basically. You're handling people, your emotions. I'll give you an example. Let's say someone's got Instagram, right? He posts a picture. The picture doesn't get enough likes, so he deletes it, right? So what he did right there is he expected a certain outcome. However, that outcome was not attainable. So he didn't get the likes, or he didn't get that attention, so he deleted it, right? You should be happy with yourself. And you should not try to get attention from other people, especially if you're a man and you try to get attention from other people, or you change your behavior or do certain things in front of certain people just to get attention or to get recognized. This is really sus, bro. Like, as a man, you should not be doing this. So next, we have grounded in gratitude. So this means appreciating everything you've got at the moment and not relying on future outcomes for your happiness. Someone might say, why is this important? Why do I need to enjoy the moment and not rely on future outcomes? Because how do you know you're gonna live past the moment? You might not live past the moment, so might as well enjoy it. Be present, right? And someone might say, why do I need to be grateful, right? Because if you're not grateful, this creates jealousy, it creates envy, it creates self-hatred, and it creates anxiety. And if you're not content with what you already have, you're never going to be happy, right? There's always a bigger fish, right? It's never enough. Even in the gym, right? When people say, oh, I'm going to work for 5 years and I'm going to be happy with my physique. To this day, I'm not happy with my physique. I don't think I'll ever be happy with my physique. And that's just human nature, right? Like if you earn a million, for example, let's say you work so hard to earn a million, and then you finally earn a million, you're going to want 10 million now. When you hit 10 million, you're going to want 100 million. And then the cycle goes up, right? And that's why it's so important to enjoy what you already have. Here is an example. It's really common in the UK, actually, for people to complain. I think that's the culture, right? Complaining about the weather, complaining about the jobs, complaining about everything. And I understand it's a culture. However, this is really negative, because every time you complain, you're training your brain to think in a negative way. So rather than seeing the good in things, you always see the bad side. And this is not a good mindset to have, guys. So an example, let's say someone works in a job, right? This job pays the bills, feeds his family, but he complains about the job every single day. Oh, my job is da 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 da. I don't get paid enough. The taxes, guys. Right? Can you do anything about your job? And he will say, oh no, I can't do anything about my job. Can you improve your skills so you can get a better job? Nah, I don't want to improve my skills to get a better job. Okay, what do you want to do? I just want to complain and moan and just be negative. Bro, come on now. What are you doing? Respectfully, what are you doing, bro? Why are you complaining? For what? If you can't do anything about it, then don't complain. If you can change it, then do so. Okay, someone might say, okay, what do I do? What do I do instead? I don't like my job. Blah, blah, blah. Always look at the positives. So there's to everything in life, there's always pros and cons. And in this scenario, for example, the job scenario, look at the bright side. The job pays the bills, right? You have a roof on top of your head. You have food. You have water. You have electricity. You're warm. You've got heaters. That's everything. That's all you need in life, guys. Honestly, there's a saying by the Prophet ﷺ. He said, whoever wakes up in the morning and he's healthy in his body and he's got money for the day, this is equal to everything in this world, right? Because some people don't even have the basics. Go to poor countries, for example. Go to third world countries. They don't even have electricity. They don't even have water sometimes. They don't even have food. So we should always be grateful for what we have, guys. And especially in first world countries, we've got everything. Like, we literally have everything. There's a good way for you to actually be grateful. If you really feel like your life is bad, or your job is bad, or your relationship is bad, you can go to the hospital. There are people that get their kidneys washed 3 times a week, 4 hours a session. How bad is that? Would you trade your health for £1 million? Obviously, you're gonna say no. Then that means you've got everything. If you have your health, you have everything. And if you're alive, you've got everything. Just go to the graves, man. If you go to the graves, you're gonna see dead people. Now, you're not gonna physically see them. Obviously, if you see them, I don't know what grave you're going to, but God is giving you a new opportunity every single day, and yet you're ungrateful. And this advice is for myself as well. Everyone complains sometimes, right? However, this shouldn't be the norm, guys. This shouldn't be normalized. In conclusion, what we should do is appreciate what we have, appreciate the new opportunities we've got, be thankful for people, and we should all stop being entitled, because no one in this life owes you anything. Number 8, driven by purpose. And I believe every man and woman has a purpose in life. Whether you know it or you don't, everyone has a purpose. And I believe that our purpose in this life is to, number 1, worship God, because He's the one that created us. Number 2, procreate. Why should everyone have a purpose, right? Because without a purpose, you become a herdless sheep. You don't know why you're doing the things you're doing. You don't know your personal why. Everyone's got a personal why, right? And if you don't know your why, then you have to figure it out. Why are you doing what you're doing, right? If you don't know your why, I'll tell you. Number one, you should improve your relationship with your God. Number two, procreate. Everyone should leave a legacy. So everyone should have a family. I understand some people don't want to have kids. However, what's the point of life if you don't have anyone to teach? Everyone's going to die, right? No one is going to be here forever. So if you don't have anyone to carry your legacy, you need to think about that actually. Another one is knowledge. So I believe that if anyone's got knowledge, you should spread it around, right? You should not gatekeep knowledge. You actually giving advice to someone or you spreading knowledge is going to come back to you, right? It's going to benefit you. And there's nothing better than helping someone when they actually need it. So, for example, you're a teacher. I mean, you have a type of service, you run a charity, or you do any type of service. It doesn't have to be charity, it could be paid as well. But you provide genuine help for people. So, number two, guys, it's going to be your looks. For all my Looksmaxing warriors there. So the reality is that we live in a very visual world right now. The first 10 seconds about someone looks decides everything. So in order for you to actually improve your looks, you have to be realistic, guys. Number one, so step one is you have to get a mirror. So what you're going to do with a mirror is, you are going to look at your face, right? So step two, you're going to ask yourself, is this the best version of myself? And if the answer is yes, then good for you, man. You should maintain what you already have. So if the answer is no and you see that this is not the best version of yourself, you ask why. You probably know the answer, right? You just don't know the practical steps to take after. We start with the head first, right? So that's your hair. You wanna obviously you wanna take care of your hair, so you wanna shampoo it. You wanna put like a conditioner in it, whatever you can. It just has to be presentable, right? Get a haircut that suits you. Ask your barber what haircut suits you. If your hair is falling, you can apply minoxidil to your patches, and then now you can apply it twice or once a day, and it will take about a year or two to fully grow the spots. Even less than that, to be honest. Sometimes depends on the person. And for hair loss, you want to take finasteride. It reduces your DHT level, which reduces hair loss. It's not the healthiest option, obviously, and it's not a permanent cure because if you stop it, your hair's just gonna fall back again. It's mainly genetics, to be honest, guys. The hair loss thing. You could be 20 and lose your hair, or you could be 80 and still have hair, right? You got your ears, which you don't want to have any earwax. Your ears should be clean. You don't want it to be crusty and it's got like white stuff inside. It should always be clean. So now let's move to the face. We'll start from the top of the face and then work our way down. I've got this guy's got no eyebrows, bro. What? That actually looks kind of scary, man. I'm gonna lie. I see this guy in real life. Anyways, so the first thing in your face is obviously you got your eyebrows. So if you've got thin eyebrows, you want to apply castor oil. You got it's mainly castor oil, to be honest. It's gonna thicken your eyebrows and it's gonna be looking good. So the second one is your eyes. So for the eyes, mainly you want to avoid eye bags, which is a result of poor sleep, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm not sleeping. Say you've got under eye bags or you've got dark spots under your eyes. The first thing you should do is sleep basically 8 hours a day. You should get night sleep as well, because that's a lot better than sleeping during the day. If it still doesn't go away after sleep, you can apply vitamin C serum, I think, on the spot, and then that will cure it, hopefully. After the eyes, we've got the nose, and with the nose, you just don't want to have hair sticking out of your nose, or you don't want to have like you don't have what's it called, man? The dark heads. You got like I forgot what it's called, but it's like dark heads. You don't want to have that as well. It's a result of bad skin. So next we've got the mouth. Under the mouth falls your lips, your tongue, and your teeth, obviously. So we'll start with the tongue. You want to be brushing your tongue and you want to be scraping your tongue as well, because that's where the bad smell comes from, right? After that, your teeth. You've got really yellow teeth. You can apply like whitening strips, or you can just brush your teeth more often. So the last one is the lips. Obviously, you just don't want to have crusty lips. You don't overly take care of your lips because that would look a bit too sus. But you just don't want to have like dry, crusty lips. And then that's pretty much for the mouth. For your beard, you should not shave your beard actually. Like why would you shave your beard, man? You're a man. Under all of this comes, I think, skin. We forgot skin. So a bad skin is a result of a bad diet. And then that could be from processed food, could be from very oily, greasy food. And to fix this, you don't eat processed or really oily or greasy, fatty meals. It really depends on your skin type as well. Some people have oily skin, some people have dry skins. So the main skin issue, what most people struggle with, is acne. And obviously, start with the diet, fix your diet first. If it doesn't work, then drink a lot of water. You should be drinking at least 2 to 3 liters a day. If that doesn't work, then the last step you should try Accutane. So you should only try Accutane if you've got severe acne, and it's really helpful. I've never personally struggled with acne, but I know people that struggled with acne and they took Accutane, and it basically changed their whole face. Maybe go to your dermatologist and then ask them to prescribe Accutane. So that's pretty much all you have to do for the face. Obviously, guys, you want to be avoiding like weird stuff, man, like bone smashing and stuff. Like, what are you doing, man? You're not meant to be smashing your bones to change your face structure. I mean, your face is the way it is for a reason, mate. You don't wanna change it. You don't wanna. Oh, I want a hard max. I'm gonna my bones are not defined enough, so I'm gonna smash my bones. Oh, I've got a negative eye tilt. You don't want to be doing that incel stuff, man. You don't need to do that black pill stuff. Stay away from that. Your body, number two. So the first step, obviously, as usual, you go to the mirror and you look at your body in the mirror. Can you change anything? Yes. Then you've got some work to do. No, then you should just maintain whatever you have, right? So the body falls under two main categories, which is you're either fat or skinny. And if you are fat, you could be obese or you could just be overweight. So you're just like a normal overweight. You've got skinny, so you could be skinny fat. So you've got a bit of fat, but you're still skinny, right? And you've got normal skinny, and you've also got super skinny, like I used to be. I used to be 52 kg, so I managed to get 78, which is good. And then I went back to my current weight. So let's start with fat. So if you're obese, I think the first thing you should actually do is just like casually just walk. Just walk for like half an hour every single day. Try your best to walk for half an hour every single day. Don't even try to change your diet, right? And then after you get into the habit of walking, then you can start tweaking your diet slightly. So don't cut everything at once because you're just gonna fail at this, right? So slowly cut your calories down. While cutting the calories, you want to increase your exercise. So rather than going for a half an hour walk, you do an hour walk, right? If you have a BMI that's more than 40, you should definitely start losing weight because that's really dangerous because that's where you develop all types of diseases. That's where you're most likely to get a heart attack as well. Um, so if you're at 40 BMI and you can do your BMI online, you can calculate it on an online calculator. Going back to the point, so start with light walking, start with light exercise, and then slowly work your way up. Then after you achieve whatever weight loss goal you've got, then you'll move to the overweight section, which is you're not obese, so you're not too fat. You're not like you can fit through the door basically. If you can fit through the door, but you still think that you're overweight, then that's really easy to change. The only thing you have to do is basically cut your calories at the start. All you have to do is literally cut your calories and just do a bit of exercise. So you need to do aerobic exercises. That could be any type of cardio. It could be swimming, running. It could be walking. It could be anything. If you're overweight, you want to go on a calorie deficit, right? So that means you cut your calories by 500 to at the start, let's say 200 to 500 calories a day. If you're overweight, I would recommend you go to the gym because if you don't train for strength, if you don't build muscle, and then you're overweight, you're just gonna lose the weight, and then you're gonna be skinny. You're just gonna go back to skinny, and then you're gonna have loose skin. If you were overweight for a while, you're gonna have loose skin. So you wanna avoid that by building muscle. So when you build muscle, your muscle tightens your skin basically. The biggest physical reason for longevity is actually muscles. So they did a study and found that the people who have more muscle mass are more likely to live longer. This is true because you're gonna live a healthier life. If you fall, let's say you're 60 years old and then you've been going to the gym your whole life, and if you fall, you're not gonna break your bones, right? You're just gonna, your muscle is gonna protect you, as well as you're also gonna have healthy joints. In conclusion, if you're fat, you fall under two sections. If you're obese, you need to do light to moderate exercise and start cutting your calories slowly. Once you lose some weight, you're gonna move to the overweight section, and then you're gonna start going on a calorie deficit, 200 to 500 calories. You're gonna go to the gym, you're gonna start building muscle, and you're gonna do some cardio, whatever sport you like. It doesn't matter what type of cardio you do. If you burn calories, you're gonna lose weight. Now let's move to the skinny guys, my team guys. That's what I used to be. So you've got skinny fat, is someone who's got someone who looks skinny, but if when you lift your shirt, you see you've got some fat, or you have like face fat or any type of fat, but you're still skinny. You don't have any muscles, right? So that's skinny fat. You've got the normal skinny, so it's just like normal skinny. You look skinny basically, and you've got super skinny. So I used to be me actually. So you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, God damn, I look like a skeleton, bro. So let's start one by one. If you're skinny fat, I'd recommend you actually go on a minute cut. So just go on a minute cut for a week and then lose all that fat and then start bulking up. Or you can just start bulking up, to be honest. I would say the minute cut is probably better, so you can just lose the fat and then start from zero. But it doesn't matter if you minute cut or bulk. And if you're skinny fat, you want to go on a calorie surplus. So you need to eat 2 to 500 calories over your maintenance. So you can do that online. You can go on an online calculator and it will tell you everything basically. So next is skinny. So that's just basic skinny. So you're gonna be doing the same thing as skinny fat. You're gonna go on a calorie surplus, 2 to 500, and that would be lean bulking. I'd recommend lean bulking because you don't want to gain a lot of fat, and then you're gonna have to spend all the time cutting the fat down. No point, right? So just eat 80% clean, 20% dirty, and you should be alright, man. If you wanna go for the dirty option, that's what I did as well. You're gonna get really strong actually, but it's going to take you a while till you cut the fat down basically. And at the end of the cut, you're gonna be like, damn, I don't even have muscles, bro. What's the point? If you are super skinny, then my guy, I think you need to dirty bulk, bro. I'm sorry, this is the reality. If you hate eating, you're gonna have to eat, bro. You're gonna have to pick up the fork. Because if you're super skinny, for example, you look like a skeleton, basically. That's what I said earlier. If you look at the mirror and you're like, damn, I'm actually like super skinny. This is like extremely underweight. Then I would start dirty bulking. So I would start eating pizzas, cakes, everything that gets you to like normal weight. I don't see any point of lean bulking from the start because you're not going to put in any fat if you eat a lot of calories when you're super skinny, right? You're just going to get to the normal weight just a lot faster. So I don't see any. It's healthier to eat healthy food. Obviously, it's healthy for your body, but I don't think 3 months of bad diet is gonna do like a massive effect on your health. So yeah, just go like 3 months dirty bulk, and then the rest continue clean bulking. So obviously 80% clean. So you want to eat your proteins. You want to eat chicken. You're gonna eat steak. Um, all the proteins. 20% carb. If you want to get really strong, actually, I'd recommend you go 50-50. So go 50% protein and then 50% carbs. So that means you've got more energy to lift weights, basically. And then in terms, so that's for the calories, guys. That's the calorie part done. You might ask now, okay, I ate. What do I do in the gym? So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna tell you what to do exactly. And you don't really need a lot, to be honest. You need just simple stuff, and then I'll show you in a minute. All right, this is the second part, guys. So this is your body. This is amazing drawing here. Look at this back, though. Look at this Dorito, bro. So we'll start from the top and work our way down. I think push-pull legs is just like the best overall, man, because it combines a big muscle with a small muscle. With the push, the first push you want to do chest, tricep, and shoulder. So push is basically any movement where you're pushing your hands outwards, basically. And pull is back and biceps. So any movement where you're pulling, basically. Legs, you got your quads, so the side of your leg, and then your hamstrings, the back side of your leg. Start with the chest. Oh, okay, what do I do for a chest? All you have to do is just stick to 2 exercises, right? So you want to do a pushing movement or a squeezing movement. So for a pushing movement, you want to do either dumbbell press. I'd recommend incline because that works your upper chest, because your lower chest gets worked anyways, right? You can do a barbell press, barbell press, or you can do a dumbbell press. I personally like the dumbbells a bit more because you've got freedom, as opposed to the barbell where you don't have a lot of freedom to move. You're locked in one place. Um, so I'll do dumbbells for two exercises. I'll do incline dumbbells. For the stretch movement, I personally like the fly machine. So just do 3 sets of fly, squeeze as hard as you can. And for the dumbbells, you also want to go as high. You want to train with intensity, guys. You don't want to go to the gym and play, right? You want to go there and it's war mode, bro. You want to lift the highest weight you can lift for as many reps as you can at the beginning, right? Then later on you can customize your but at the start you want to build your mentality to work as hard as you can, right? For example, if I do 10 kg this week, I would do 12 kg the week after or 2 weeks after, right? And you want to build up your weight obviously to the OG numbers. You're gonna notice that the higher the weight, the less scraping it's got. So you know when you hold the dumbbell, yeah, if you go to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you're not gonna see any scraps because a lot of people don't go to that weight. They're just scared of their weight for some reason. When it's doable, man, it's actually doable. If you progressively overload for a couple of years, you can easily hit the 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s naturally, by the way. So you want to do 3 sets of each, and that's pretty much you're done. Second movement on push day, which is your triceps. So that's your secondary muscle. Your triceps supports your any pushing movement is mainly through your triceps, right? There's not that much to do for triceps, to be honest. You've got your overhead movements, and then you got the push down movements. So any overhead that would target your long head, and then any forward movement would do your short head, which is basically the muscle that the small one that's apparent from the side. You want to do 3 sets for each. It doesn't matter what exercise you do. So you want to do 2 exercises, 3 sets each. You can do cable, you can do straight bar, you can do V bar, you can do whatever handle you like. And for the overhead, you can do single hand, you can do both hands, you can do cable, you can do single, you can do any exercise you like. Honestly, it depends on the person because everyone's bone structure and everyone's body structure is different. So what's comfortable for me might not be comfortable for you, and that's why I'm against like structured, um, generalized like structured programs. So they will tell you do 3 sets of this exercise. Of okay, what if this exercise doesn't actually suit my body, right? Now moving to the pull day, which is gonna give you that Dorito look. Actually, shoulders. We've got shoulders. That's the most important thing actually on top. So for your shoulders, you want to mainly do a pressing movement for your front delts and your side, because when you do shoulder presses, that works your side delts as well. Mainly actually works your side delts, activates your front delts and your side delts. So you've got 3 sides, you've got 3 parts of the shoulder. You've got your front, you've got your side, and you've got your rear delts. Front, as we said, pushing movement, try the highest weight for as many reps as you can at the start. Progressively overload and try to get strong in this movement, right? For your side delts, you just want to spam side delts, man. Honestly, you just want to spam lateral raises. Do cables, do dumbbells, do any movement that moves your arm from here to here. And then look up YouTube on how to do the right form. For your rear delts, a reverse fly machine, or you can do, I like to do the cable. So you get 2 cables and then you cross the cable, and that gives you a massive squeeze. Now moving into the pull, and that includes your back and your biceps. So if you want to get that Dorito look, if you want to get that V taper, you want to do your back, right? The back mainly grows from two exercises. Your vertical moves, so that's any movement from up to down, and you got horizontal, which is forward to backwards, right? I think pull-ups are the OG of back growth, to be honest. As well as rows, you want to do your rows. So you want to do heavy rows, to be honest. You can do barbell rows, you can do dumbbell rows, you can do the cable rows, you can do machine rows, you can do any type of row, to be honest. The exercise does not matter, actually, guys. What matters most is the movement. So you want to move from A to B, and you want to move from A to B, squeeze. That's it. 3 sets of each. So you want to do 3 sets of pull-up, if you take that as a vertical example. And you want to do 3 sets of rows, if you take that as a horizontal example. Now moving to the biceps. And the biceps of... this one is tricky because some people say the bicep is actually one muscle, so it doesn't matter what movement you do. Some people say it's divided into 3. So you got your long head, short head, and then your brachialis. I mean, the science comes up with new things every single time. They always change it. So just to be on the safe side, do all of them. So you want to do a movement that's in front of your torso. You want to do a curling movement. So any curl that's in front of your torso. So any movement that looks like this. And you want to do one where your elbows are behind your torso. So any movement like this. And you want to do a movement where you target your brachialis, which is basically the outside part. And that is any movement from this. So that would be like, so that would be vertical curls. It would be like this. You'd hold the dumbbell like this, and then you'd curl it. For the curls, you can do seated inclined curls, and you want to do this movement to target your short head. You want to do this movement to target your long head, basically. Now moving into the legs. For all the people that skip leg day, man up, bro. You need to actually pattern up, man, because you can't be skipping legs. This is for myself as well. I was making excuses saying, oh, I got an injury because I injured, I think, both of my knees. I was doing like elevated squats. Oh my God. And I didn't do legs for like 6 months. I was claiming that I had an injury, to be honest. It was painful every time I squatted or did like any leg movement. However, I did leg day today and it was fine, to be honest. It hurts a little bit, but who cares, bro? So you want to do your quads, and that's any movement where your leg goes like this. So that's the front part. So you can do your leg raises. And then the best one is obviously squats. That works basically all of your legs. Mainly the quads, though. You want to do your hamstrings, so that's the back side of your leg. And that would be any curling movement. So any time you move your leg upwards, basically. That's your hamstrings. You can do your hamstring curls. You can do the machine hamstring curls. Or you can do RDLs, which is basically like deadlifts, but it's not deadlift. Stick to 2, 3 sets each, and that's it. All of these movements are just 3 sets each, guys. So do 6 sets in total. If it's one muscle, do 6 sets per muscle to start with. I used to do 9 sets. There's no need to do 9 sets, to be honest, unless you know what I'm saying. Neck, which is, it's a cool muscle, man. To be honest, if you've got a big neck, it just makes you look cool, man. That's it. It just makes you look like you lift, right? Also, you need traps. If you got a wide frame, I would say do traps. However, if you have a narrow frame, if you have overdeveloped traps, it would make your shoulders look tiny. So I would just recommend not doing it. You do your traps anyways anytime you lift a heavy dumbbell or anytime you lift any heavy weight. Going back to the neck, you want to do neck curls. So you want to do any movement where you're doing this. So that works your front part. You want to lay on the bench and then just do this movement. And then for the back side, you want to do any movement that works, basically going from down upwards, and that will target the back side of your neck. Considering the fact that we always sit on our phones, the front, so this muscle here is really weak because we're not using it a lot, right? So it's really important to train that muscle. You want to do 3 sets of front and 3 sets of back. That's it. Next, you got your calves. You don't want to be looking like a chicken, even though I got chicken calves, to be honest. Just do 3 sets of calves. It's the most boring muscle to train, to be honest, but gotta do it anyways, man. Next, you have your forearm. This is what actually makes your arm look big. So if you have big forearms, even if you have small biceps or triceps, it just makes your arm, you basically look like what's that guy, man? What's that guy with big forearms called? Popeyes. You look like Popeyes, bro. And I have a friend that looks like Popeyes. I was like, bro, this guy's forearms are massive. There are so many muscles here. Do any exercise, you can add different variations. You can do like twisting movements. So you can do like this type of curl. You can do this type of curl. You can do any type of curl. And then for the upward one, I go on any bench and then just do this movement. So basically curling upwards, and that works this. Next, we've got abs. So this is your abdominal muscles. And you want to hit your core, guys. I didn't hit my core for the first 3 years of training. And then when I pose, for example, yeah, and I tense my abs, I'm like, yo, I don't even have abs, bro. I just got a flat tummy. So I started training it and then starting to show now. For your abs, you want to do any crunches, you want to do setups. So where you go from laying down upwards, and that works your upper part. For your lower part, you want to do any raise motion, so any leg raise motion, that would work your lower abs. That's pretty much. So you do 3 sets of each. So you do 3 sets for all of them, and that's pretty much your body. So next essentials are going to be combat, fighting, bro. What are you gonna do if you have a family? Someone comes up to you and starts assaulting your family. So every man should learn martial arts. I'm telling myself this advice as well. I need to actually get into martial arts. And I think boxing, unless you're like a pro boxer, is not gonna cut it, bro. You need to be doing like MMA, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I think these are the ones that actually help in a street fight, right? Unless you're like a very good boxer, that would help you, right? But if you're just like an average boxer, yes, you might beat the average guy if he's the same weight. But if someone is way heavier than you, you're not gonna do anything, bro. However, if you do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, if you do BJJ, for example, you can actually take down bigger opponents. So I think BJJ is really beneficial, or you can do MMA because you can use all your body, right? You're not just limited to your arms. So I think that's really important as well. Next, we have hygiene. Everyone should smell nice. You shouldn't be stinking. You should, if you're used to your scent, ask other people, do I smell? Like, because some people are used to their scent, they don't actually smell themselves. So if you want to do a test, just go to someone and say, do I stink? If they say yes, then you most likely stink. But if they say no, you don't stink, then you probably don't stink. Slowly turning into venom, bro, from this pen. Anyways, so yeah, so just shower every single day. Try your best to shower every single day. Always apply deodorant, especially if you go to the gym. Please, bro, please. You just gotta look presentable, right? Not dirty, not extremely concerned about your looks. You want to find the balance. So the next is style, and you mainly want to avoid flashy logos. So you don't want to be wearing like a shirt that has Gucci or Louis Vuitton, like a big logo saying Louis Vuitton, ripped jeans, um, like a graphic cap. It just look unprofessional, bro. Like no one is gonna take you serious. Everyone's gonna think, yeah, bro. I used to dress like that back in the days. However, I promise you, as soon as you stop dressing in a way that's unprofessional, no, it doesn't have to be professional. I'm not dressing professionally now, but it's simple. If you dress simply, so that simplicity is actually key. So the simpler, the better. So you don't want to be too flashy and you don't want to look homeless at the same time. Choose a style that suits you. So if you like baggy styles, and wear baggy stuff. If you like fitted stuff, wear fitted stuff. Classy outfits, then wear classy outfits. If you like graphics, you can wear graphics, but avoid like too much. Just avoid the look of looking like you want to get attention. You don't want to be wearing a belly. Also with style, you just gotta have clean shoes as well, man. Can't be walking on like dirty, smelly shoes, because the first thing that people notice about you in the first 10 seconds is your overall appearance, and then they look at your shoes. So if your shoes are like dirty, it's got stains and it's got like marks, then maybe you should get a new pair. And maybe I should get a new pair actually, because my shoes, I think it's slightly ripped, but it's still clean. So number 6, you've got body language. and that includes facial reactions and your body reactions. So you want to avoid, like when you speak to people, don't touch your face basically. You want to avoid scratching your face, doing like this movement. You want to avoid fidgeting too much. I understand if you're nervous, guys. Like if you're doing like a public presentation, you're gonna be nervous, and then you naturally want to like start fidgeting and doing like abnormal stuff. So with body language, you want to have mainly open body language. So stop this and just like be normal. So just like be normal. Just you'd have to be you'd have to take so much space to the point that, oh look, I'm dominating everyone. You don't want to be looking like this. Or look, I'm walking like this. I'm dominating. I'm alpha. And you also don't want to be walking like this, like very shy, walking, looking on the floor, like walking so quick. You walk like you're about to run or something. You want to be normal, right? You just want to have like a steady walk. You want to walk slowly. You can look down if you like. I mean, you can lower your gaze, bro. You have to lower your gaze actually, but you want to avoid looking down the whole time. Like don't be looking down on the floor the whole time. Another thing as well with body language, if someone looks at you, if you make eye contact with any person, right, and you start that dominance game, so you look at them, they look at you, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and it's just a matter of, oh, who's more dominant. This is not how it works, bro. Like we're not in a jungle, right? We're not trying to compete for dominance. Eye contact is meant to be contact, right? It's connecting with people. When you make eye contact, you connect. So it's not a dominance game. Stop this, or whoever breaks their eye contact first wins. No, who said that, bro? Like if someone looks at you, look at them for a couple seconds. If they stare at you, you can nod your head, or you can just break eye contact. It's not a dominance game, remember. So in conclusion, for your face and your head, you want to be grooming your head. You want to be grooming your face if needed, and you want to be sleeping 8 hours a day. Pretty much everything for the face and the head. For your body, you mainly want to be exercising every single day if you can. Doesn't have to be gym. It could be walking. Walking is part of exercise, right? If you walk 10,000 steps a day, you're set. You don't have to do anything else. Number two is going to be diet. So you want to be, as we said earlier, if you're fat, you want to be in a calorie deficit. If you're skinny, you want to be in a calorie surplus. And if you are muscular or you have muscle mass and trying to improve your overall health, so your cardio, you want to aim for 140 beats per minute. Try to do sprints, hill sprints. That improves your heart health. Also drinking water, that helps a lot. 2 to 3 liters for the average adult. And for body language, you want to have positive body language. You want to have upright posture. You don't want to be over dominant, and you don't want to be shy. Body language part 2, eye contact. You want to make normal eye contact with people. Don't stare for too long. Also, don't break eye contact too early. If you're speaking to someone, I think there's a rule. I forgot what it's called. You make eye contact with someone for 5 seconds, and you break it for 2, and then you make eye contact again. So it's not awkward. So you're not just staring at them like you want to kill them, yeah? And that is pretty much everything for Looksmaxing. And if you apply these steps, guys, I think you'll be set. You don't really need anything else. Let me know if there's any suggestions or anything you would add to this. Maybe something that I've missed. But you get the logic, right? That's pretty much everything. So the next thing is going to be your finance. And that is deep. This is a long one. Right, guys, let's talk money. So this section is actually the section I've made the most mistakes in, believe it or not. I learned the hard way. So everything I'm telling you is from the hard path, unfortunately. Let's do a quick reality check. I'm going to flip the board. Let's start with people who have good jobs, good paying jobs. So if you have a good paying job, you should firstly be grateful, right? Never trust a job, right? So you should always be skill maxing. You want to be maxing out your skills as much as you can from that company, right? So you want to be improving your skills. You want to be covering up your expenses. With the leftover money, you have to save, which I would not recommend, or invest. which I would recommend, because if you just save it, obviously inflation is going to come, and then it's going to be the same money, is going to go down in value throughout the years. So if you invest your money, it's going to cover up for that inflation rate and is going to be the same in the future. You can invest it in stocks, you can invest your money in real estate, and that will just keep your money. It wouldn't grow as fast as a business, but it will have a steady growth. That's if you work full time and you don't have any time to invest in a business, right? If I have this good paying job and I also have some spare time, in this meantime, I can be building a business, or I can be building a skill that is going to make me 10x my salary, right? So essentially, you want to buy a business or you want to buy a really good skill. So I would recommend investing in a skill. So a skill that will make you more money, because that's permanent, right? But you can also do the business route, which is it's unpredictable, but it's better than investing and saving. The question is, do you have time? If you do, if you have spare time, you can slowly scale up the business until the money you make from the business is equal to the money you make from your job. And at this stage, you can either stay in the job and scale your business even more, or you can quit and then go full on the business, right? You can just go full time on the business. You can scale it. Obviously, the first 1 to 3 years, you're not gonna be making major money. You might break even. If you don't have time, then save 5 to 10 years, right? You have to save up big cash. Number two, which is a low paying job. In these jobs, you can't really do a lot unless you improve your skills. Therefore, you're going to get promoted and you make more money. That's one route. That's if you can progress in the job. If you can't progress in the job, obviously pay your bills, pay the necessity. If you've got a family, then that makes it a bit tougher. But you have to pay for the bills, you have to pay for the necessities, you have to take care of your family and yourself. If you see yourself growing in that job, then stay for as long as possible and try to get promoted, move up the ranks. You're going to make more money, right? If you can't get promoted, which is sometimes you just can't. Honestly, sometimes with certain jobs, you just can't. The highest you can get is probably like a duty manager or just like a manager. In that case, invest 5 to 10 years, save up some capital, because you're going to have to start a business at some point, or you have to buy a very expensive skill so you can change to a different career. If this low paying job that you do enables you to move into a better paying career, by all means, just do it. Tech, for example, and you're not making as much money as you want to, you can go to tech sales, for example, and that could 10x your income, maybe 5x your income. So you have two options. You've got your career change, or you have to eventually open a business because you can't stay in this dead end job. Now let's go to the third one, which is no job. For all my jobless people, I was jobless for a very long time, guys, and I think I managed to crack the code just a little bit. In the first 2 years of me actually learning how to get a job, it was so difficult, man. It would So what I would do is I would have a CV. It was terrible. It was like a Word document CV. I'd copy paste everything, and I would go on Indeed and I'd just spam every job, and then all I would get, unfortunately, da da da, unfortunately, da da da, unfortunately, da da da. So what I did instead, I did some research. Actually, in uni, we were doing a module about how to build your CVs and stuff. So the lecturer was like, show us how you do your CV, right? And then the way she explained how to do a CV, she was a top recruiter, by the way. She was like a really good recruiter for a really good airline. And she said to us that firstly, your CV shouldn't be more than 2 pages, especially if you're just like a young person, or you just starting a career. Please don't put your picture. No one cares. Don't put too much information. Make it structured. Have 2 to 3, maybe 4 jobs, even 5 if needed, if you really have to. Oh, but my CV's fine, 2 pages, da 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 da. but I can't get any job. No one is accepting me. Everyone is sending me unfortunately emails. Well, are you applying to enough jobs, bro? The time I actually got a job, I had to apply for, I think I applied for over 30 jobs, guys, to just get one job. It's just a numbers game. It's just like sales, right? So if you pitch enough people, you're going to close enough people. However, if you don't pitch enough people, you're not going to get closes. Apply for 10 jobs a day for a week, maybe 2 weeks actually. So that's what? That's 70 jobs a week. If you do want to do 2 weeks, that's 140 jobs in 2 weeks. Out of 140, surely there's one job that's going to reply. And someone might say, "Oh, there isn't enough jobs. There are no 140 jobs." Okay, bro, max out all the jobs you've got. Go on Indeed, go on all the other applications, go on LinkedIn. A better way, actually, is you go in person. Just go in person, speak to the manager, and give them your CV. If you've got a friend working in a certain place and you want a job, well, can you sort me out? I need this job. If your friend recommends you, you will get the job, right? Because at the end of the day, guys, jobs are just a game of connections. If you know the right people, you can pretty much get into anywhere. If you don't have people, you got to play the spam game. You just got to apply to as many jobs as you can, and eventually one of them is going to accept you, right? So you got a congratulation email. So at the interview, you just want to be yourself, honestly. You want to be saying the truth. You can't be lying. HR can tell when you're lying, unless you really do it well. Some good liars there. Some really good liars. In the interview stage, you want to be yourself. You want to be dressed as best as you can. And that is pretty much everything. All HR wants to know is you can do the job without giving them headache. That's all they need to know. Company culture is a thing as well. So this person now gets a job. Let's assume it's a low paying job, right? So person gets a job and then it's a low paying job. What do you do in order for you to get a high paying job, right? So if you want a high paying job, it's most likely in STEM. So that's science for S, T is technology, and E is engineering, M is mathematics. So that includes all the sciences. You got your medicine, all the healthcare sector. Um, ST, you got your technology. So that's all the IT stuff. E is your engineering, all types of engineering, and M for mathematics, and that's finance. Right, bro. How do I choose my major? I want to get a high-paying job. How do I do that? I'm gonna get into that. How do you choose your major? Good question. In order for you to work in STEM, you most likely need a degree, or you need to be exceptionally good at what you do if you don't have a degree. Follow your passion, right? I'm gonna follow my passion, and if you follow your passion long enough, you're gonna make money. Yeah, that is the biggest cap I've ever heard. Following your passion does not make money, guys, unfortunately. I hate to break it to you, but it doesn't actually make money. Say you are passionate about psychology, um, arts in general. The likelihood of you actually making money out of that career is very little, guys. I'm not joking, because on average, you can't really make a lot of money from these careers, right? And don't tell me, oh, my uncle is an artist and he makes 1 million a year, but your uncle is like 0.0001%, right? That's not the norm. We're talking about average here, right? Um, so passion does not make money. If you have a passion, just make it as a hobby, right? Or you can just make it as a side hustle and then pick a career that actually makes money. This is just my personal opinion. There are three high pay indicators in case you want to pick a career. So you want to pick a high paying career. To be honest, most people pick careers just because of the money. Obviously, they are passionate people that, let's say they pick medicine. They are genuinely passionate about helping people. However, money is a factor, and they won't say it, but it is a big factor. So anything that's got a high barrier to entry, so that means it's got a lot of hard exams, it's got a lot of studying involved, it's got a lot of training. You need to spend time, money, resources in order for you to succeed in that thing. It's usually a good career. There's no guarantees, no guarantees in life, guys. You could be doing all this and still not get a job. Um, but this is the average. So If you're doing medicine, you could be doing engineering. You can do law, finance, um, or you can do flying as well. So number two, any rare skill or something that's scarce, something that's a minority of people are good at, not everyone. So that would be any speciality. Um, you could put sales in there as well because it's a scarce skill. Um, I'd say high ticket sales. And number three, you've got high impact. So anything that's got a high impact, it's got a high responsibility. So that would be your top managers, that would be your leaders, that would be your consultants, that would be your CEOs, your founders. And that is pretty much most of the good careers. Now, if you're still confused and don't know what to do, there are near guaranteed. There's also no guarantees. There's never a guarantee, to be honest. But you're most likely going to get a job. That would be your healthcare, so doctors, any lab work, could be your nurse, or engineering, all types of engineering. Um, you've got law, finance. Everyone needs a lawyer. Everyone needs an accountant. Everyone needs a doctor. Everyone needs an engineer. That's just how it works. So you're gonna be avoiding art. So all types of art, any type of social science. You want to be avoiding humanities, and you want to be avoiding service jobs. So for example, your retail, um, and any service job. Let's say I don't want to go to uni. I think uni is a waste of time and money. Then I would say just pick a trade. You can make really good money from a trade. You can actually scale it into a company, and it's pretty easy, to be honest. Once you get pretty good at the job, you get other people to do the same job, and you can just relax. You've got the second scenario, which is I've already completed uni, but I've done one of these degrees. So art, social science, humanities, and I'm in a service job, for example. What do I do? If you've already completed it or um, about to complete, you can't really do anything. I would say just complete the job. It's also a degree at the end of the day, so it's not going to harm you. You can actually get very, really good paid admin jobs if you work for the right company. You got scenario three, someone that wants to go uni, but they don't know what to do. Um, ask yourself, why do you want to go uni? To be honest, uni is really good for social networking. You can make really good connections. It's really good for building your character and discipline because no one is going to tell you to do your homework like in school. You have to do everything by yourself. Improves your personality, improves your work ethic, everything. So I recommend if you choose the right subject. Obviously, you don't want to be wasting money and time. If you still can't decide, I would say, what's your personality? Because if you like maths, or what's your way of thinking? Are you like analytical? Are you more social? If you're analytical, you can do finance. If you're social, you can do medicine, law. Um, if you're analytical, you can also do engineering. So I'd say anything in STEM, you're basically guaranteed, near guaranteed money. And guys, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe any of this, just look around. Who's making the most money? It's usually these guys, or it's mainly the people that makes the most money actually are here. You got the high impact people. These are the people that make the most money. So try your best to have a high impact job. Some of these jobs, like the top ones, they've got all three aspects. So they've got a high barrier to entry, they've got a scarce skill, and they've got high impact. And if you can combine all three in one job, then now for the next part, which will be financial freedom. Can you really achieve financial freedom from a job, from any of these jobs? Can you? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Let's see. I've got a good job. The job pays me well, but I want to be financially free. So financial freedom is basically the ability to earn money whilst not having to work. If you've got a low income, and that also depends on the country. So this could be considered a high income in certain countries. However, in UK, America, most of Europe, this is like low income, right? Um, so after taxes, you're gonna take home about 24,000. You're going to save about 20%, which is £4,800 a year, and you're going to spend 8%, which is 19.2. You got your freedom number, and this is basically to achieve financial freedom. You got to multiply your spending times 25. So this means 19,200 times 25. So this is assuming 7% return on investment if you invest it in stocks, because you want to compensate for the inflation. And the time it will take 35 years, bro. Imagine 35 years just to retire with 480,000. Yeah, it's not gonna cut it. Let's go to medium income now, which is 60k, 60,000 a year. Your take home after tax will be 45,000. You're going to be spending 28,000, £28,250. All of these assume 7% return on investment to compensate for inflation. £751,250, and it will take you 22 years to save that number. Can you retire on 700,000, 750? Yes, but so now we've got the high income, which is 120k, and that will be 75,000 take home. You save about 50%, which is 37.5. You spend 37.5. Freedom number 37.5 times 25 is equal to 937.5. That's 937,500. The time it will take you to save that number is 16 years. I mean, that's reasonable, to be honest. Important considerations. All of these are subjective to the salary not moving up or down. Job stability, so you have your job this whole time. 7% growth, which is an increase on the investment that you've made. Also, with the high income, you're most likely not going to be making 120k straight after graduation. Most likely take you 5 to 10 years to hit that number. Could you retire on 1 million? Yes. Now let's move to the 1%ers, and these are the people that make 250k a year. So these are your founders, your CEOs, your top managers. So their take home is 155,000. Let's assume that they saved or invested 77.5 and they've spent 77.5. Financial number 77.5 times 25, and that will give you 1,937,500. And that will take 15 years to hit that number. Most likely, you're not going to make 250k in your first 10 years. You've got to be really exceptional to make it after 10 years. So let's say from 30 to 45, you could be making 1.937.5 million, which is not bad, to be honest. You can retire on that money, and I think you can live a comfortable life on that money as well. However, you're very limited. You can't really do much with that money, and that takes us to the last option, which is having a business, right? And then I think, in my opinion, this is the only way that you can actually acquire financial freedom, because all of these jobs are capped. They are salary capped. So no matter how much money you make, you only have a certain amount of money that you can make. And after that, you can't really make any more unless you have your own company or your own business. So we're going to be comparing top 1%ers, so the ones that make 1.937 million, to a successful business. And then we're going to see if the same amount of time and effort on a business, is it going to pay off? Let's see. Let's say you decided to open a business. It's definitely not going to be easy, and it's definitely not going to be quick. Assuming you've worked from age 20 to 30, so you worked full time. In that time, you were saving up money to save up a capital to start a business, right? Your average income after tax was 40k. Your living cost is 20k. Yeah, I know, man, it's tough, but savings 20k times 10, and this is assuming you didn't invest it in any stock, right? So obviously, if you want to counteract for the inflation, or if you want to increase your money, you have to invest it. So that's 200k by the end of year 10. That 200k is a capital for a startup company. Year 1 to 3, don't expect to make any money. So you're gonna break even. Year 4, you're gonna make 218,000 revenue. So that's 18,000 over your break even. Year 5, you're gonna make 242,000. Cool. This is not bad for 5 years, right? So managed to get 42,000 revenue increase overall. Year 5 to 10. So at this time you are going to be 40 years old till 45. So assuming the company grows at 20% and your company has 15% profit margin, by year 10 you are going to be making 456,318 pounds. So this is your 10th year of operating the business. You're going to end up with 59k.7, right? That's not bad. Year 11 to 15, your revenue jumped to 10 million, right? You have to get investors, guys. You can't really do 10 million revenue without investors. You have to get investors. So you've got 10.2 million revenue. The profit is 1.53 million. So that means by the end of the year, you've got 1.53 million pure profit. This is good life, man. So year 15 to 20 of operating the business, your revenue is going to be 90,203,000. Your profit is going to be 2.3 million. Assuming you want to sell a company, you're going to be able to sell it for 8 million after the equity of the investors, right? If you don't want to sell it, you can hold for another 10 years and you can sell it for 17 millions. Right, not bad money, guys. And if you don't want to sell it at all, you've got 2 million profit a year. You can live good after tax. That's a good life, to be honest, man. This is what you call financial freedom, and obviously this is not easy. This is not the average business. This is hard work. Requires time, dedication, money, timing, everything. But it's definitely doable. This is not impossible. And then the good thing with a business, it has no salary cap. You can basically earn as much as you want, as long as you work hard enough and you play the game. In order for you to acquire or achieve financial freedom, you have to start a business, right? It doesn't have to be out of your speciality. Let's say you're a doctor, you can open a clinic. Let's say you have a trade, you can open your trade company. Let's say you're a pilot, you can open your own airline. In every career, you can always make money, guys. You don't have to stick to one job or be capped to a salary, when in reality you can do way more with your skills, especially if you've got great skills. And I think if you're a top 1% earner, 100% you can make 100 billion% you can make a business work, right? Because if you've got the skills to be a top 1% earner, you're gonna have the skills to open a company and be successful. And you can even make 100 millions, guys. This is not like 8 million and 17 million is not that much. For me, that's a lot of money. But 17 million and 8 million is like nothing. That's like change for certain people. So there's different levels to the game, right? And obviously billionaires are going to be seeing this as like, what's this? Like 17 million. He probably spends that on ads, to be honest. Forgive me if I've done the maths incorrectly, but I think this is like a rough estimate of how businesses work. So if you've got any suggestions, please write it. That's pretty much everything for finance. That's all I've got for finance, and I hope you learned something. If not everything, at least one thing. And then obviously, not everyone is gonna agree with everything I said, right? So take what's good, leave what's bad. And now into relationships, which is a big one. Oh no, it's morning. Oh no, I've been here since 11. Oh no. Anyways, so we've got relationships and modern society. So the current issues we are facing, according to what I observed and according to people, is loss of social skills. When I was in university, um, we used to share a flat with 10 people, right? And out of these 10 people, I think only two of them spoke. So actually, only two of them communicated, and the rest would just go to their rooms, eat their meals inside their rooms. They never spoke. I mean, I tried speaking to them. Some of them spoke. A matter of them not speaking to me personally, they never speak to anyone, right? And this is really common as well. So it's just not just university, it's just life. The reality is people live online more than they live in real life. And it's actually really sad. If you see your screen time, it's most likely going to be over 5 hours, right? You spend 5 hours, potentially up to 8, some people 12. I was 12 hours at a certain point in my life, and that was bad, man. Really bad. And that means you spent 12 hours just watching the screen. So if you think about it, you've been living in a pixel, basically. You are living in a screen. That's the sad reality. And to fix this, we have to be self-accountable. So we actually have to acknowledge that we've got an issue, especially in developed countries, because everyone has this lone wolf culture, right? So no one needs anyone. Everyone's sufficient. Everyone makes their own money. No one needs anyone. Therefore, why do we need to speak, right? The first solution is self-accountability, which is acknowledging you've got an issue. So, right, my screen time is 8 hours. So clearly this is an issue. I need to fix this. So perhaps I need to get friends, maybe, or I need to socialize with my family, or I need to socialize with my friends, right? So let's say you've diagnosed the issue. I'm antisocial. I don't speak to people. And if I speak to people, I am awkward. I have no eye contact. I have no confidence. I fidget while I speak to people. So, these people who like you'll be speaking to them normally and then they will start fidgeting and like making. So obviously that's social awkwardness. And then it's not the end of the world if you have that actually. It's really easy to treat. Not really easy, but it's definitely curable. So it's not like a major issue, because it's just practice, guys, and it's basically a skill. The more you practice, the better you'll get. So part of practicing is initiating. So for example, you're walking on the street. I mentioned this example earlier. You're walking in the street. The other person is not going to initiate eye contact, but you do it anyways, right? You just look at them, just nod your head, right? So this is your first step. Once you progress, you start speaking to like the public, the general public, random strangers. That could be cashiers. It could be random strangers in the gym. It could be people. It could be people at work. Maybe you're antisocial at work. You don't speak to people. It could be people at work. And start just with your family, to be honest. If you don't socialize with your family, start socialize more. And when you're socializing, be present. So leave the phone away. Literally, chuck your phone in a different room, or just leave it in your pocket. Don't even pull it out. You are going to get tempted if you're addicted. You're going to get so tempted to pull out the phone in the middle of the conversation, but don't, because that ruins the presence. So diagnosing, initiating, and then just practice, practice, practice. And that's your solution, right? So reliance on screen is the next one. And this is really sad actually. So rather than speaking to people, the first thing we do right now is go ask AI, right? Like we back in the days, if people needed help, right, the first thing they would do is speak to people, right? I've got this issue, can you help me solve it, right? However, due to convenience, I'm not gonna tell you, oh, if you've got any issue, don't use Google or don't use GPT. I use GPT as well. If you've got major issues, right, like let's say you need advice, right, speak to people, right, speak to someone you trust. It's really hard to find good advice actually. Yeah, just use GPT. Next one is loss of trust, integrity, and respect. And we lose trust and integrity because most people don't have them, right? So if you're a trusted person, if you have integrity, and if you are a respectful individual. You trust people and you think everyone's got integrity and you think everyone is respectful. However, you come to find out that most people you trusted are actually not to be trusted. And most people that you think they have integrity, they do not. They just fake it. So the way to build trust is actually through integrity. So when you live in alignment with your morals and values and you act up according to these morals and values, people are going to trust you, right? If you say you're going to do such and such and you do it, people are going to believe you, right? You're going to be a trusted individual. The reason I'm mentioning integrity and trust is because it all links up to relationships. So when you have integrity, people trust you. When people trust you, you build relationships. When you build relationships, you can become successful a lot faster. So respect is earned. It's not demanded, right? You have to give respect to earn respect. Some people, they just expect you to give them respect out of nowhere, right? Or what's really cringe is some people do certain stuff or they do certain actions in order for them to get respect. However, that actually lowers their respect. Acting tough, for example, or being rude. Next one is the lone wolf culture, right? So this is really common actually. It's actually trending. I think it's a trend actually. Um, I understand, guys, if you are a lone wolf for 6 to 12 months, right? So you don't want to speak to anyone. You want to lock in 6 to 12 months, even a year. Let's say 2 years max, right? After that, you will start becoming weird. You're gonna lose all your social skills. You're gonna have no friends, no like if you have no family, you're gonna have no family, and you're just gonna be lonely, right? And being lonely is not a good thing because you fall for your temptations. So this lone wolf thing is good if for a limited duration. However, do not make this a lifestyle because some people live like 10, 20 years and they say, oh, I can't make friends. I mean, you gotta be self-accountable, man. You gotta work on your skills. And that takes us to how to make real friends, right? So you don't want any friend, right? You don't want anyone on the street to be your friend, right? So most friends that we make are actually from shared interest. So think about it, right? When we were in school, primary school, we had friends, shared interest, right? We had school, we go there every single day. Um, we study the same subjects, we do the same activities, we play together. Everything is shared, right? And when we finish school, no one speaks to each other. So notice the trend, right? We go to high school, everyone starts making new friends. They never speak to their old friends, their primary school. Some do. It's probably one or two friends you have from primary still. And when you go to high school, people make new friends, right? And graduate high school, no one speaks to each other again, right? It's common interest, right? Most people with common interests are not really friends, right? They just they're just like schoolmates or workmates, right? So the way you can get real friends is to have lifelong interest. So something that can never finish, right? For example, that could be a lifelong passion. Let's say you like sports, right? And this is your lifestyle. You're certain that you're not going to stop this. Try find someone with the same mindset. So someone that has the same lifestyle. Got to be some evidence, right? So you have to do some digging. You have to see if this person actually is committed to this lifestyle. Another shared interest would be, let's say, religion, for example, right? Um, I'm Muslim, right? So if I want to find real friends, right, I'm gonna find someone who's practicing, someone who prays, because I know that that person will never leave the prayer, and that is a shared interest. As long as the common factor is available, you can still be friends, right? The common factor is shared interest, right? You'll find a lot of people help you if you really need them, right? Everyone is going to help you. However, what's really hard to find is people who are genuinely happy for your success. For example, let's say you become successful and some of your friends are going to be happy, right? Some of your friends are going to be neutral. Some of your friends are going to hate, right? You are going to have so many friends throughout your life. You're going to lose a lot of them, you're going to gain more. So I don't think you should be attached to any person, right? Any friend. You should not be attached to anyone. You should have genuine connections with people, and you should love these people for the sake of God. However, you should not be fully attached to anyone, right? Because everyone is temporary. Another tip as well, I don't think you can actually know someone unless you know them for at least like 3 to 5 years. If you want to truly know someone, you have to travel with them. So traveling shows a lot about a person. You have to live with them. If you live with them, you can tell if they are a real friend or no. And you can, like, money is a big one as well. So if people are tested with money, money and women are the two big ones that most people will fumble, right? So if, let's say, you lend a friend some money, he says he needs it, right, and he doesn't return it, what does that say about him? Or let's say, this is actually really sad. Let's say some people have wives, right, and then some of their friends actually cheat with their friends' wives. How peak is that, guys? This is actually so peak. Next one is finding a life partner. I know a lot of people that are happily married, and I'll tell you some of what they say, right? But before we get into that, there's a big issue, which is corn, guys. You cannot have any relationship if you don't have respect for yourself, right? Every relationship is built upon respect. Let's do some statistics. 78% of men watch corn, and 70% of men watch it weekly, guys. This is actually sad. This is really sad. So in every 10 men, 8 of them watch corn. The average age of corn exposure is actually 12 years old. So imagine someone who's 12, someone got exposed to it at 12, he's addicted, and he is, let's say, 20, right? He's not going to be able to leave that addiction, right? Unless he does some serious work. So the solution is, it just goes back to discipline again. So it's a mindset. Number 2, cut everything that leads you to do the habit, right? Cutting off the leads to the habit. One of the major things you can do. And being lonely or being alone is a big factor, right? So if you live with people or you stay with people, you're not going to be as tempted. However, if you're alone, the the demons are going to come and haunt you, man. They're going to come and tell you to do certain things that you shouldn't be doing. Whenever you get a temptation to do a bad habit in general, and especially corn, just go outside, right? Or just go to the gym, or do, because at the end of the day, it's energy, and that energy has to be spent elsewhere, right? Otherwise, you're going to be spending it in the wrong direction, right? So you have to spend it the right way. So get a hobby, replace that addiction with a hobby. So every time you feel the urge to do it, you do the hobby instead, right? Every time you don't commit the sin, which is a big sin, um, every time you don't do it, you have to reward yourself, right? Let's go over why corn is bad actually for you. So number 1, it releases so much dopamine that it's actually compared to drugs. Number 2, it desensitizes you, which means that basically you need a higher dose every single time you watch it, right? So you're gonna get into categories that you shouldn't be getting into, because if you start low, you're gonna go up and then find something more interesting, and you're just gonna end up being a weirdo, right? Number 3, it causes massive shame, guilt, loss of respect for oneself, causes a lot of issues. Also, it causes health issues, so it basically drains your energy. It's a waste of time. If you eventually find a life partner and you don't stop this addiction, this is going to ruin your marriage actually, because you're not going to find your wife as attractive, right? Because you've been seeing all these models online, and you don't find your wife attractive because who is she compared to these demons, right? And don't say, oh, if I get married or if I find a life partner, I'm going to stop. No, you have to stop now, bro. Otherwise, you just won't find a partner, right? Or even if you do, you're going to find the wrong partner, right? So you're going to find the right person. And in order for you to find the right person, you have to be the right person yourself. You have to build a garden so the butterflies can come. So basically, you have to focus on yourself, guys, until you're in a position to take care of someone else, whether that is financially, emotionally, or physically even. Number 2, you have to be the right person. Say you give yourself a rating of, let's say, a 5, which, let's say if you give yourself a 6, right, in terms of overall, right? So your mindset is a 6, your looks is a 6, your money is a 6, your relationships are a 6, your spirituality is a 6, and you aim to get someone who's a 10. Obviously, you're not gonna get someone who's a 10, right? You're gonna get someone on the same level as you. The more you improve yourself, the better partners you are going to get. Basically, like skill matching, guys. Like, you don't play with, like, Real Madrid is not gonna play with some random team or some county team, right? They only play international. Same applies to relationships. You can't really get a 10 if you're a 6, right? And especially for women, they always look up. So if you're a 6 and she's a 10, well, no chance, bro. Good luck. Unless you've got some serious riz, some extreme riz that I don't think is possible. However, if you're a 10 and she's a 10, it's possible, right? Despite I don't think anyone can be a 10, but let's say you're an 8 and she's an 8, that's possible. You're an 8, she's a 7, possible. But if she's a 7 and you're a 6, that's a tricky one, guys. That's a whole different video. Last one is lessons about people. I think people just want to be respected, right? People want to be treated nicely, right? And to be complimented, right? So if you see someone, it's so obvious when you fake a compliment. It's got to be a genuine compliment, right? And that makes people days. Like, honestly, if you give a genuine compliment, not a fake one, it can make someone's day, right? Also, trust comes from time. You can't expect someone to trust you from the first meeting, right? In like in a job, for example, a job interview, they're not going to trust you, right? If you do like important job, they're going to do a DBS check straight after the interview, even though you've been speaking to them for half an hour or like an hour. So trust is built from evidence and time. So what you want to do is you want to show that you are reliable enough times. That's it. And you've got to be a trustworthy person in order for people to trust you. You've got to be a truthful person in order for people to believe you, right? So it all goes back to yourself. So start with yourself first. Then once you do that, you've unlocked everything. And that is pretty much everything that I know of relationships. So the last one is spirituality, guys. So I even speak to some people. They say they've got everything. However, they feel like there's something missing, right? They've got the money, they've got the looks, they've got everything they need. They've got relationships. However, they're still not happy. So what potentially could be the reason, right? Perhaps it's your connection with your creator. I believe that there's a creator, there's one God that created everyone, right? And in order for you to have the best life, you have to be connected to the creator. If you have a phone manual, for example, right? So the factory tells you to charge the phone to 90%. Do not charge it to 100%. From your logic, you're going to say, oh, why would I charge it to 90%? Obviously, 100% makes more sense, right? Because it's going to last longer. Who do you think knows more, the factory or you? Obviously, the factory knows more. Same logic applies to when God orders us to do a certain obligation or abstain from a certain prohibition, right? Some people say, oh, I don't want to be following like a certain religion, whatever. I think it's complicated, it's strict. I want to live my life, whatever, right? But it's like, at the end of the day, if you just live your life according to your desires, you're just going to be lost, right? Because you're not going to have an internal compass, or you're not going to have a guide or the manual, as we mentioned earlier. People that say there's no creator or there's no God, whatever, I mean, just look at yourself, man. Do you think this just came out of nowhere? Or you think you think the Big Bang actually created it? Come on, just use your logic. In order for everything to be created, it must have a creator. And this creator cannot be created, right? So that means God, right? So that means all creation implies a creator. If your argument is, oh, I can't see my creator, therefore there is no creator, right? I would say, can you see your heart, right? If you can't see your heart, would that mean that you have no heart? Obviously not, because you can feel it. Same applies to God. You can feel his presence in his creation. So look at the sky, look at the nature, look how your body functions, look at how you don't have to control your heart to pump blood into your body and into your organs and to live. There must be a higher power that is very capable of complex designs, right? Such as humans. Um, Humans, nature, and life itself, right? When you are giving birth, remember you come from a sperm, then you grow to be a 6'5" person, right? How could that potentially be? Like, if that was not a higher power, then what could it be? And that leads us to the religion that I think makes more sense, right? And out of all the religions, I think Islam actually makes more sense, right? Because I think it's the religion that's actually most practiced, and I think it offers a good way of life. It's got a guide for everything, right? Even you going to the toilet has certain morals and has certain etiquette.